Chapter 1. I was running late, which was no surprise. I always seemed to be in a rush. There was a meeting with my editors halfway across Manhattan. I had a deposit to make before the end of the business day. My shoes were killing me, and I was so hungry I could have eaten the glass and metal desk I'd been allotted at my temp job at the Pitt Foundation. I could handle most of those things. I was nothing if not adaptable. People were used to my tendency to show up late. The secretary over at McSimmons Publishers was wise enough to schedule my appointments and then tell me they were half an hour earlier. It was a little game we played. Unfortunately, since I now knew the rules, I'd arrive an hour late, ruining her careful arrangements. Tant pis, they could work around me. I was reliable in all other matters. I'd never been late with a manuscript, and my work seldom needed more than minimal revision. They were lucky to have me, even if biblical murder mysteries weren't a big moneymaker, particularly when written in a smart-ass tone. Solomon's Poisoner had done even better than the previous books. Of course, you had to put that in perspective. Agatha Christie, I was not. But if they weren't making money, they wouldn't be buying me, and I wasn't going to worry about it. I had just enough time to make it to the bank, and I could even manage a small detour to grab a hot dog from a street vendor, but there wasn't a damned thing I could do about my stupid shoes. Vanity, my uptight mother would have said, not that she ever left the confines of her born-again Idaho fortress to see me. Hildegard Watson trusted nothing and no one, and she'd retreated to a compound filled with other fundamentalist loonies where even her own sinful daughter wasn't welcome. Thank God. I didn't need my mother to tell me how shallow I was. I embraced it. The 4-inch heels made my legs look fantastic, which I considered worth any amount of pain. On top of that, they raised me to a more imposing height than my measly 5'3", an advantage with obstreperous middle-aged male editors who liked to treat me like a cute little girl. However, the damned stilettos hurt like crazy, and I hadn't been smart enough to leave a more comfortable pair at my temp job. I'd been hobbling around all day without even a Band-Aid to protect my poor wounded feet. I'd feel sorry for myself if I hadn't done it on purpose. I'd learned early on that the best way to accomplish anything was to grit your teeth and fight your way through it with the best grace you could muster, and wearing those damned shoes, which had cost me almost $180 discounted, was the only way I'd ever get comfortable in them. Besides, it was Friday. I had every intention of spending the weekend with my feet up, working on my new book, Ruth's Revenge. By Monday, the blisters would have healed enough, and if I could just tough it out for 2 more days, I'd be used to them. Beauty was worth the pain, no matter what my mother said. Maybe sometime I'd be able to support myself with my writing and not have to deal with temp jobs. Snarky mysteries set on debunking the Judeo-Christian Old Testament weren't high on the public's interest meter, the occasional blockbuster Vatican thriller aside. For now, I had no choice but to supplement my meager income, making my weekends even more precious. "Shouldn't you be heading out, Allie?" Elena, my overworked supervisor, glanced over at me. "You won't have time to get to the bank if you don't leave now." Crap. 2 months and already Elena had pegged me as someone chronically late. "I won't be back," I called out as I hobbled toward the elevator. Elena waved absently goodbye, and moments later I was alone in the elevator, starting the 63-floor descent. I could risk taking off my shoes just for a few moments of blessed relief, but with my luck someone would immediately join me and I'd have to shove them back on again. I leaned against the wall, trying to shift my weight from one foot to the other. Great legs, I reminded myself. Out the 63rd floor windows, the sun had been shining brightly. The moment I moved through the lobby's automatic door to the sidewalk, I heard a loud crash of thunder, and I looked up to see dark clouds churning overhead. The storm seemed to have come out of nowhere. It was a cool October afternoon, with Halloween only a few days off. The sidewalks were busy as usual, and the bank was across the street. I could always walk and eat a hot dog at the same time, I thought, heading over to the luncheon cart. I'd done it often enough.